And we are live. Good morning, crypto warriors, and welcome back to the Gym in the Crypto, episode 507. Today is Tuesday, November 26th, and I'm King, here to bridge the gap between community and crypto every day, Monday through Friday. And of course, today we're going at an earlier time, so I hope you have those post notifications on. Top stories of the day, exclusive. Nothing is above Bitcoin. No CBDC. No stablecoins, says Blockstream CEO Adam Back. Ripple completes promised $50 million investment in MoneyGram with final $20 million. Red Cross deploys blockchain to boost communities' economic resilience. BitBay crypto exchange to delist Monero due to money laundering concerns. Ripple-backed rental firm Omni shutting down with Coinbase snapping up. New team is being reported. But first, of course, let's go ahead and jump straight into those prices. Yes, of course, it was green yesterday. It is back red today. It's flip-flopping every day. Just in the last hour, I've seen Bitcoin go up and down 100, 200 bucks, depending on what exchange you're looking at. But looking, of course, at the CoinDesk ticker, Bitcoin's 24-hour clock is at $7,112, down 1.81%. Ethereum's at $145, down 2.16%. Ripple, even lower than before, folks. Ripple is at 21 cent, 21.217 cent, down 2.16%. So again, if you still believe in Ripple bouncing back, definitely a good buy-in time now. Bitcoin Cash is at $210, down 0.61%, and Litecoin's at $46, down 0.13%. But of course, who knows? Oh, and last but not least, EOS is at $2.61. Up 1.45%, so only green on the day. But I was going to say, who knows what this could look like by this afternoon and next week. But again, unless you're trading right now, unless you're actively trading or you have some mid-term or short-term holds, there is really no need to concern yourself with the price. It's going to do what it's going to do. If you're already holding, then just sit in your seat until the beginning of the new year and see what we look like. Then sit in your seat again into the happening to see what the price looks like. But I think as of now, there's no point to even look at the price because, as I said, we're going to see a continued price drop going into Thanksgiving. We might get a bounce back the night of, if not the morning of the following day of Thanksgiving for Black Friday. We might get a quick bounce back, but then expected to go ahead and dip again leading up to Christmas and possibly another bounce back going into the new year. But in general, unless we have another parabolic rise like we had in 2017, I wouldn't expect too much. I did see some people still calling for at least a 10K price of Bitcoin by the year end. It remains to be seen. Again, as we've seen with the regulations and the bear market extending almost 2 full years now, I think everybody's just waiting for the happening to see what happens. Even institutions are. So continue to buy low if you still believe in the project, of course, but it remains to see what will happen next. A few quick shout outs. What's going on? Jizzy Matt, Crypto and Culture, Mr. Gibson Sr., Allison Thompson, Donald Muhammad. Yes, smash that like and share. I did not see your Lolly video, Crypto and Culture, but I'm going to check it out for sure. Definitely will check that out. All right, top story of the day. Nothing is above Bitcoin. No CBDC, no stablecoins, says Blockstream CEO Adam Back. Something we've said many times on this show before, but wanted to definitely talk about this story because of who the person is saying all this, which is Adam Back. For those who don't know, Blockstream CEO Adam Back stated for himself, nothing is above Bitcoin, not even stable coins or other coins issued by central banks. Adam Back was the person who invented the Hashcash proof of work system. It was one of the first people to work with Bitcoin. In addition, he was present this year at the G20 meetings in Japan, where he spoke about the positive uses of blockchain. Now, when you talk about this Hashcash proof of work system, this was really one of the original ways of all this technology, the backbone of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. Of course, Satoshi invented it, or those people or person invented it, but Adam Back has been there since the beginning. So very important person in this space. At the G20, sitting next to the president of the Dutch Central Bank. I mean, this guy's a computer scientist, and he's sitting next to central bankers at G20 conferences. That should show you, how important this person is. But Back said he believed the blockchain would be another initiative for an open network and said financial institutions no longer benefit from technology because it would mean that international transfers would not need intermediary banks with questionable credit. So again, that's one of the reasons why banks are staying away from it. But he also went on to say when talking about the possibility of creating a CBDC. Of course, they talked about China, but any CBDC, he was saying, he said, none of this is more important than what he calls uncensored money like Bitcoin. Quote, I think that blockchains are more about permissionless, uncensorable usage and free money or market money, separating money from state, using a gold-like mine digital commodity money, Bitcoin. I think while it's possible and useful for some use cases, like crypto trading, to have stable coins, they inherently fall short of Bitcoin as they have a custody risk. And if there is a central bank underwriting, also traditional establishment interests reflected in the operation, which may look unattractive to users. So basically, again, he's talking about that uncensored money, permissionless money, free market money, where it separates money from state, something we've never heard before in writing. At least this is the first time I've seen it. And I have read and done a ton of stuff when it comes to political arenas and governments and power and all that. So first time I've ever seen this. Of course, we've always been told and we've grown up on, we've always heard, at least in the United States, the separation of church and state. But to separate money from state, I've never seen that. So of course, it would take a genius to put that out there. And then, of course, when he talks about stable coins, hey, they're good for trading, but at the end of the day, somebody controls it. Same thing as a central bank digital currency. It's being underwritten by a traditional establishment, which has interest reflected in their own operations, which would look unattractive to users. So again, he makes a case for Bitcoin, but to me, the even bigger case is the philosophical one. That's separating money from state. Why have we not thought about this before? I mean, I think a lot of things could be fixed overnight if we separate money from state. So I think that's a huge one he hit on. He also talked about the cryptocurrency Libra project. He basically said Libra was like another Venmo, PayPal, QQ Pay. He says just another payment app, and they just going to create their own basically money inside of the app. But he says no difference between Venmo, PayPal, and Libra. And last but not least, for sure, he talked about blockchain applications being auditable. He said they cannot be auditable, such as Bitcoin. They have no value. Again, something we have repeatedly said on this show. He's being quoted as saying, I think blockchains provide more value if they are publicly auditable. Otherwise, if end users cannot tell the difference between an organization using databases behind the firewall and one using blockchain. So again, Bitcoin blockchain. Whenever you hear the word blockchain, again, the first thing you should say is which blockchain are you referring to? Don't just throw out blockchain and you might be talking about JP Morgan's Quorum blockchain or Bitcoin's blockchain, two totally different blockchains, right? One of which, the JP Morgan Quorum or Quorum blockchain, is basically another database behind a firewall, right? And that's the point he's making. When all these companies tout blockchain technology and blockchain this and blockchain that, but they're not using a public blockchain like Bitcoin, where everyone around the world can go online right now and we can look at the transaction you claim you have made or sent money to or received. We can go online and look that up. It's a publicly auditable blockchain. Those are the things you're not going to get with these private ones. And since you won't get them, one of the things people have said since the beginning in this space, that if you don't have a public blockchain, you basically just have a database that is hidden behind your own private firewall. Instead of a database behind a firewall, you're moving into a blockchain technology where it might be transparent to those in your company or the C-suite level, but it's not transparent to the public. So definitely want to give Adam back a shout out. I'm glad he had a chance to go to the G20 conference and actually talk about this stuff. Again, someone, you know, if there was a master or expert in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, this would definitely be one of them. So to have him there representing the entire industry, basically putting things in layman terms in a very polite way, by the way, because he could have been rude about a lot of stuff, but being polite enough to say, hey, you know, this is diplomacy right here. If you cannot be auditable, such as Bitcoin, they have no value. Databases using firewalls instead of blockchains, whatever. That's all diplomacy. Of course, what he really just wants to say is what Andres Antonopoulos told the Canadian Senate back in 2014, which is you guys can't control it. Like, I get what you're asking me. You can't control it. It's for everybody. So it's pretty cool to see him there as well. A few more quick shout outs going on. Blockchain Shuja, Tessa Hall, good morning, good morning. Madam Crypto, Cryptonomics, what's going on? Here was a good, big story. Ripple completes promised $50 million investment in MoneyGram with final $20 million. Now, I know Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse and them have a lot of money stored up over there in the war chest, but with the price being this low, this automatically made a story to me. I know they did not want to fork over another $20 million right now in this moment of a 2-year bear market reaching some of their lowest lows since their initial low 2 years ago, of course, which was about 0.08 cent, if I remember correctly. But major money transmission network MoneyGram has announced that blockchain-based payments firm Ripple has completed its original commitment with a final $20 million investment. In a November 25th press release, MoneyGram announced that Ripple Labs Incorporated has made a final $20 million equity investment in MoneyGram as part of Ripple's original $50 million equity investment commitment. I'm pretty sure they probably made that commitment back in 2017. Oh man, people were buying Lambos, what else? Ferraris, mooning. I mean, it was all good just a week ago. And now 2 years later, they're like, you still got that 20 million you're gonna give us, right? But they gave that total that $50 million investment, which again could be a very good investment. In June, the two companies entered into a 2-year strategic partnership to collaborate in cross-border payments and foreign exchange settlements with digital assets. As part of the agreement, MoneyGram will be able to draw up to $50 million from Ripple in exchange for equity. So I guess they did just make that one, which is even crazier. MoneyGram will reportedly use Ripple's X-Rapid liquidity product to allow for money to be sent in one currency and instantly settle in the destination currency. By using Ripple's XRP token for such transfers, X-Rapid can purportedly settle such transactions faster than with fiat currencies or other major digital assets. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse commented on the latest investment. Again, you can read the quote here. He's just basically talking about the announcement where MoneyGram and Ripple decided to be used the on-demand liquidity for payments to the Philippines. He said he's excited to support them and also their expansion to Europe and Australia. So this is actually a pretty cool partnership. It's one of those things where, like Ripple, I don't see this being profitable or even in a business, a sector of business in the next 5 to 10 years, once what I believe more people will go over to digital currency, because again, it just makes more sense. But right now, I think this is a smart thing. I can only assume MoneyGram is probably holding a bunch of different fiat currencies. So when they do get a certain fiat currency in, they can just push out or settle it in whatever other currency that person wants using Ripple's X-Rapid liquidity product. Again, this is cool. This is really good to see. It's a sign that technology, especially the technology in this space, is advancing. That people do understand that the way we've been doing things are antiquated. But again, the only thing I see really stopping this, and one of the biggest things, is that there really is no need for it once people stop using as much fiat currency. If people just say, give me my money back in Ripple or in Bitcoin or whatever that native currency is to that country or to whatever business they're using, I can see that becoming even more popular, or that being the use case once cryptocurrency is more popular. But until then, I think this is a great idea. It's cool to see this when it comes to MoneyGram. You're talking about instantly settling transactions in the destination country. They're talking about the Philippines here, talking about Europe and Asia here. I mean, I know a ton of people in the military who are in the Philippines who send money back home. So for someone like that who might be on a ship in the middle of the sea or deployed to a foreign country, or even just working in America from the Philippines or from a different country, they need to get that money back to their loved ones ASAP, and they're not using cryptocurrency. MoneyGram looks like this would be the way to do it. I guess my last question would be, how much are they going to be charging for their services? But either way, cool to see. It's a basic, people. It is a basic because they're at least using the technology in this space. So kudos to them, and I hope it works out for Ripple and MoneyGram. Let's see, a couple of quick comments coming in. Crypto and Culture said they selling on top of the XRP Army boys. What's going on, Sergeant Crypto? Red Cross is in the news as they deploy blockchain to boost communities' economic resilience. So, interesting story. I'm glad to see Red Cross has hopped on blockchain technology. It makes a lot of sense if they're going to use it for the good purposes that Red Cross is usually used for. But three national units of the Red Cross, the largest humanitarian donor after the United Nations, are backing a blockchain-based currency scheme to enhance aid delivery and boost local economies. According to a report from the Thomson Reuters Foundation on November 26, the Red Cross Societies of Norway, Denmark, and Kenya have launched a 2-year plan to replace cash and voucher provision in aid and development efforts with blockchain-backed local currencies. All right, shout out to Red Cross. Now, before I get into it, my only real negative on this is that I didn't see which blockchain they were using. So I just talked about that a minute ago. I don't see what blockchain they're using, which means they're probably using some private one or some company, which in turn that also means somebody's stealing money somewhere. It just is what it is, people. But the positive thing about this is that what I have learned about the Red Cross, what I know personally, and from what I've been told from people who've worked with them or just through news articles and stuff, is that sometimes that cash does go missing. Either the cash goes missing or the voucher provisions, once they reach that country to the people they're actually supposed to be used for. Sometimes local militias will take them. Sometimes the local people can't get it, or because of it's a tough process. I'm talking about you're giving out cash to people in a country that needs aid. That is a very tough process to ensure none of that cash is stolen from its inception to the time you offboard it, right? So I think using blockchain technology, as Adam Beck just mentioned, at least it becomes auditable. At least from the beginning to the very end, you can see where all the money goes. And honestly, if more people were to adopt crypto in these countries where they're going to be doing that, Norway, Denmark, and Kenya, you can literally just send people the money to their cell phones and their laptops, right? Preferably their cell phones that most people have around the world. And you can track it that way. So there is literally should be no reason why cash will go missing or money will go missing. It looks like right now they plan to onboard 320,000 users. As a report outlines, the Red Cross currently distributes $1 billion annually as cash and vouchers, either specifically targeted at disaster relief or intended to boost local economies. Again, you talk about disaster relief and you're talking about $1 billion in cash and vouchers coming in. We saw what happened in Haiti. We heard stories from the PR. We've heard stories from countries around the world where there's disaster occurs and there's relief funds coming in and money gets stolen. I mean, it just happens. So again, this new blockchain scheme, as they're calling it in this article, which has already been tested in parts of Kenya and Ethiopia, has been found to improve trade in poorer communities by allowing local users to earn credits created from work, sales, or aid infusions and spend them via a mobile phone app with an underlying blockchain ledger recording transactions. Again, they're not saying what this underlying blockchain ledger is, so I can only assume it's a private one. But again, this is pretty cool to see. Now, of course, the governments of some of these countries are not fans of this because they're saying, hey, this is causing people to not use banks, which is to some countries is a national security concern. So the Red Cross will have to kind of face that, or pun intended, cross that bridge when it comes. But it looks like as of now, they're planning to move forward with this plan. So it looks pretty cool. They're saying this actually has similarities to Kenya's successful M-Pesa mobile money transfer system, but does not require users to hold national fiat currency to participate. And again, they're saying in the future, it could be rolled out to Malawi, Myanmar, I can't say that, Zimbabwe, Cameroon, Papua New Guinea, and with a target set to onboard 320,000 users in 2 years. That's pretty cool to see. I can't wait to see how this forms. If this works, I mean, you can see the rest of the Red Cross begin to use it because it works. Again, this is the part the project has reportedly met with some resistance from Kenyan banks who fear that blockchain-powered community credit schemes could cut demand for their own services. Rudek has pointed to the transparency and data privacy benefits offered by blockchain and its potential to provide aid donors with near real-time distribution, allowing them to adjust their provision to better serve communities. So this is an important article because these two paragraphs in this last part of the article basically outline what's going on in the cryptocurrency space right now and what's going on in a global space when it comes to mass adoption, why people haven't adopted it, especially when they hear certain news articles. The banks do not want this because it will cut demand for their services, and everyone else does want to use it because it provides transparency and data privacy. I mean, it gets that simple when you talk about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, which is why, to me, I believe in it because, as I always say, 2 + 2 = 4. It's just, this is simple. Well, the banks don't want it because it's going to cut demand. Another group wants it because of transparency, data privacy, and it actually works. So I think that's what we're seeing here on a national scale as well, international scale as well. And it looks like the World Bank estimates that the credit shortfall for small and medium scale businesses in developing economies stands at 2.6 trillion. So again, there is no money for banks in cryptocurrency or blockchain technology, which is why they don't want it. But as long as places like Red Cross continue to try to use it, even if they have a blockchain that they're not mentioning, at least they can track a lot of these billion-dollar payments. So great story. Great to see the advancement on that as well. BitBay is in the news again. BitBay crypto exchange to delist Monero due to money laundering concerns. That is right. I think Bitcoin Zay actually mentioned this a while back ago, that this would be some of the next moves of exchanges. It looks like it's happening. Since governments cannot get rid of private cryptocurrencies, and many of them don't even know about them, but the ones who do, since they can't actually get rid of them, and you know they don't talk about it. You never hear Monero or Zcash. You don't hear FUD articles about that because they're privacy-oriented coins. They don't even want you to know these exist. But what is happening is that these exchanges are getting that tap on the shoulder. The reason being is that there is no exchange out there that wants to delist a coin that has value. I mean, it's pretty simple. You come to the exchange to trade. Monero is a tradable coin. People use it. People trade it. People are interested in it. You don't want to delist that. So the only reasonable reason you would have, a rational reason to delist it, is because you got the tap on the shoulder. And they're kind of saying it due to money laundering concerns. Cryptocurrency exchange BitBay will delist privacy-centric cryptocurrency Monero due to money laundering concerns. The exchange announced a decision on November 25th, noting that the delisting will take place on February 19, 2020. You know what? Shout out to BitBay for at least giving customers time to actually process this and move and do whatever else they need to it. A lot of these exchanges, again, sometimes they might tell you a week later, 2 weeks later. It is getting a lot better now that people are on Reddit, are on the Bitcoin forums, are on Twitter talking about these moves when they do that overnight. So I'm glad to see this exchange at least took the responsible move and say, hey, you got a few months to get it together, whatever you're doing with Monero, but you have to take it off by then. The exchange explained its decision, quote, Monero can selectively utilize, and now I can never say this word, anonymity, anonymous features among projects. This feature of XMR is a subject to end of transaction support. The decision was made to block the possibility of money laundering and inflow from external networks. So again, no exchange, which has they're called an exchange because their business is exchanging cryptos, right? No one wants to delist this. But again, important article because this is already setting precedence. This isn't the first time Monero has been delisted or any other privacy coins for that matter. You can see here at the bottom now, it says in September, major cryptocurrency exchange OKX delisted a slew of privacy-oriented coins, including Monero, Dash, Zcash, Horizon, and Super Bitcoin, which today was the first day I ever heard of it. The exchange said that the coins fell afoul of new guidelines set out by the Financial Action Task Force. You remember that Financial Action Task Force we talked about? I believe the United States and Canada joined together to form it. These are the task force we talk about when we say they're using taxpayers' money to fund, which we do not need. Right now, as it stands, people are not using Monero to launder money left and right. Not enough people know about cryptocurrency, and those who know about it, not enough of them even know about Monero. And then out of that whole population, only a small percentage of all those people are even criminals, right? So Monero is not being used to launder money in the way that it needs a task force or it needs to start being delisted from exchanges. What that tells me is that it's actually a valuable cryptocurrency and that the governments are actually scared of it because there's no reason to delist it as there aren't enough people using it to launder money. Now, these same task forces, which is crazy, that we pay for, and they start up overnight. Nobody voted. They just Wednesday morning, Monday morning, Friday night. They're like, hey, you know what? Let's start a task force. You know, we're going to start. I mean, it's kind of like it's kind of like back in the old days in the West. We're just going to start a posse and go ride out west and see what we can find. Like, they're just starting task forces overnight. They're being funded by our taxpayer money. I have to keep reiterating that. But at the same time, banks continue to launder money. And oh, by the way, whatever happened to that ship that JP Morgan had with $1 billion of cocaine on it? And last but not least, Jeffrey Epstein did not commit suicide. All right, we all know these stories, but yet we keep seeing it getting thrown right back in our face. So it's crazy to see. But yeah, if you're investing in privacy coins, at least invest in it as a metric to trade or hold long term. these are things you do want to pay attention to. I personally think it will make it become more valuable in the long term, but in the short term, cryptocurrencies like Monero and some of the other privacy-centric ones might take some hits as they're being delisted from these exchanges, because once new people come into the space, they're just not learning about Bitcoin. You're talking about there's privacy coins too. How do I find them? They're not on the exchange. I mean, it just leads to so many more questions. Of course, we have our in-house privacy and educational coin, Cryptic Coin. We're working on some big projects with that, but it's something to pay attention to. They start delisting it in the short term. It could affect price for sure. Ratchet News Boss, what's going on? Keep up the good work, homie. Thanks. What's going on, Maurice Parks? All right, and last but definitely not least, Ripple-backed rental firm Omni shutting down with Coinbase snapping up the dev team report. Now, I like to end on a great news story. Omni shutting down isn't the part of it. Coinbase snapping up the dev team is. It is something I have continuously talked about on this channel over and over and over again, is the fact that once a lot of private companies, institutions, and banks really go hard into crypto and blockchain technology, they're going to find out, which we already saw with the 3 job postings we saw for government positions for anything cryptocurrency related, but there aren't enough people knowledgeable in this space for them to hire. So you're talking about Coinbase, someone who has a ton of money, worth billions of dollars already. Even with billions of dollars, they don't have enough developers they can hire that know what they're doing in this space, right? So this is a great news story because Omni, a digital rentals marketplace that has been struggling to make its business model work despite shifts in direction, is shutting up its shop, right? So you have one, cryptocurrency, blockchain firm, wherever you want to call it. You have one shutting down, and Coinbase is literally coming in, and they have already acquired Omni's engineering team to further develop its educational project, Coinbase Earn. That news came as Omni is reporting laying off staff as it struggled to make profits after selling its physical storage business in May, TechCrunch reports. Coinbase is now taking on the dev team, according to a report with a spokesperson saying, Coinbase has reached an agreement with Omni to hire members of its engineering team. We're always looking for top-tier engineering talent and look forward to welcoming these new team members to Coinbase. I mean, this is actually pretty crazy to see an entire team, even if the company's shut down, to see an entire team, and granted, it's not all of them, but they even said, they weren't hiring everybody. But the fact that, I don't care if it's 7 of them or 100 of them, if you can go in and say, hey, we're going to hire a few of you all at one time, that is big news. And I think this is going to continue to happen. Earlier, we talked about Ripple. There's a quote at the end with Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple CEO, was basically saying that, only 1% of all cryptocurrencies out now will survive. I haven't done the numbers, but yes, majority of the cryptos won't last. We talk about it every few months, how whatever's in the top 10 wasn't even the same top 10 the year before, right? So a lot of these cryptocurrencies will not last, but the big question is what's going to happen to all these developers, right? Now, of course, someone will keep trying to start new crypto companies, to create new blockchains or ancillary businesses in the space, but also you're going to see this. You're going to see Coinbase coming in and saying, hey, we'll just hire your whole dev team. You're going to see Gemini do the same thing once they start to expand. You're going to see JP Morgan do the same thing as they've already been poaching in the space. You're going to see Goldman Sachs. You've already seen the government do it, offering up to $300K or whatever for cryptocurrency or blockchain positions. So I think this is where we're going to start seeing the beginning. And for those who are worried, who might be working at one of those startups in the space that isn't doing so well, I mean, there's no need to worry. You have a skill that many others don't possess. And once that company shuts down, or even if you don't shut down, once it blows up and goes public, whoever it decides to do, there will be other companies and governments saying, whatever, like your team knows what they're doing. I'll pay for them all right now on the spot. They come work for me. So I think this is a cool story. As we keep telling people, if you don't know how to code, never too late to start, especially when this is the trajectory. This is the first time I've seen this happen, where an entire dev team of engineers has been hired up by a cryptocurrency company. But I'm guaranteeing you this won't be the last. As this space continues to mature, and as the money starts to get even bigger and bigger in this space, people don't have time to train. They don't have time to send their own people back to school. They're just going to say, give me your entire dev team. We'll make it work. So cool story to see. And I can't wait to see what happens next. Crypto and Culture said, got to give me some privacy coins. Yes. Valdez Granville, what's going on? Totally Noli. Hello, hello. Other than that, folks, that is the show for today. If you haven't already, make sure you go pick up Bitcoin Zay's book, Bitcoin in Black America, sporting his sweatshirt today. I know he's still on that tour. I'm not sure what city he is in at this point, but check him out. I know he's always on Twitter. Other than that, again, that's the show for today. Make sure you smash that like and share. If you received the cryptic coin or you have not received and you left that message or you left a comment on the 500 video, let us know. I spoke to Shannon yesterday. He said he should have already gave out everyone cryptic coins. If I remember, Trek PFC, I can't remember what the PFC last part of your name is, but Trek won some, of course. I don't know if he won 10,000 or 100,000 cryptic coins. I mean, some more. Shannon Allen was in a great mood, so he was giving people cryptic coin left and right. So if you haven't got it, make sure you hit him up on there as well. Other than that, that's the show for the third time. Smash that like and share for the third time. Check us out on the podcast, Google Play Music, iTunes Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. And as always, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more crypto news. Cheers.